Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's right. That's not a fake image you're seeing there. That is the one and only Mr. Jamie Prickett. Let me start by saying thank you to this man. I'm going to start this very untraditionally because I am unapologetically bold anyway. This man is actually holding the commitment to being here to the point that he actually has his phone propped up just to be able to make this call, to be able to share with you everything that we ask. So now let me start normally. Welcome back to the another episode of the Unapologetic Entrepreneur, the show where we have real, transparent conversations with industry leaders that are shaping the future of entrepreneurship, ladies and gentlemen. And today, yes, today I am happy to say that I have the one and only Mr. Jamie Prickett here again. He kept his promise. I promised, and I was able to deliver. Look at this. I got him in a truck driving. This is crazy. I feel like I went on a plane and got him hostage. This is what we're talking about. This is the one and only founder of Experior, co-CEO of AOG, Mr. Jamie Prickett. Thank you for honoring our show today.
Hey, brother, thanks so much, man. And I'm sorry, I would be sitting in front of a computer. I had to make the decision whether I was going to stay in Toronto and be late for my last appointment tonight. I got another meeting tonight, or leave and get on the road and be here with y'all. Anyway, it all worked out, but unfortunately, I have to be in a truck right now while I'm talking to you guys. So,
it's okay.
By the way, for all my haters, no, I'm not picking up a part-time job driving a truck. I know what you're going to find. Someone's going to spin this some way, Leo. You know how it is. We actually just bought a condo in Toronto, and it was the only time we actually took possession 2 days ago. Today was the only time I had like a couple hours to get out. I left my son there with his friend, get it all loaded. Anyway, it's crazy.
Oh, this is great, man. We're still living off the energy we had in Miami. We want to thank you for that. So we're going to start it real easy with some light stuff. No, I didn't lose you. Are you still there?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Reception's on and off. I hope. Okay, good. We're gonna start with something light before we start with the heavy stuff. We're gonna start with just the energy in the Miami expansion tour, man. That was amazing. What the way everybody came out, we stayed out there. How do you keep yourself going with all this massive movement going from city to city, state, and you just cross? I mean, you live on a plane. How do you keep yourself fueled? How do you keep that going?
Cocaine, really? No, I'm just kidding. Hey, we're gonna have some fun. No, you know what it is? It's because I have such a drive. Like I'm 45 years old, but I feel like I'm 21 still when I started this industry. I had a passion and excitement for this business when I started, and my drive changed over the years. And now it's like my wife and I, we got ours. Like we're good. And of course we have other bigger goals and some bucket list things we want to do. But now it's like it's all about showing other people how to get theirs. And it's kind of like when you have kids, you you want your kids to do even better than you do, or better than you do yourself, right? And that's how I feel about our business. I want to see people win. And I feel like I have an obligation when I recruit somebody, when someone comes into our business, and when they're under our fold, whether they're staff, whether they're as agents, independent agents, I feel like I have a responsibility to provide the best opportunity for them because they bought into our vision and what we're doing. So that keeps me going hard and excited every day that I wake up. I'm blessed and I'm excited. So how else can you not be, doing what we do for a living?
Man, I just remember when I caught you in the back there in the F&G table, you were like, I just got here. Woo, a little jet lagged. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. We're going to turn on some music. We're going to run down the middle of this thing. And you looked at me like I was crazy, but we made it happen. We made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know the premise of the show. People are going to have questions. I always have 10 questions prepared, but we have some viewers already. Takira saying hello. We got Miss Carla saying, hey, hey. We got Michelle saying good afternoon. So we got people tuning in. They're going to be able to ask questions as always. So I'm going to start it off, man, because, the viewers need to know. I know you've spoken a lot about this, but my first question for you is, basically, you've just announced a strategic alliance with AOG and stepped into the co-CEO role into this merger, because I want to make sure we get it clear. It's a merger. What do you see in the next 5 years with this? Like, give us a little bit of vision.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're kind of taking like the Berkshire Hathaway approach, where we're going to have multiple entities under the umbrella of AOG. Experior happens to be about 45% of the entire operation of AOG. There's a total of 12 companies right now that we've gathered up. And Monty Holm, he was a former CEO and president of World Financial Group, one of the founders of that company, built a great organization, did very well for himself. Retired from that a couple of years ago, and then had this vision to build something that would truly make the agents that are out there selling the products, providing the services for clients, to really make them the kings and queens of the operation. And that was the same vision that Leanne and I had. The difference now, when we decided to do this merger, was that now we've got the strategy to get into the reinsurance treaty, so that we're not just partaking on the front end and benefiting on the commissions and the sales that are generated from an IMO perspective. We're actually going to be able to partake in the profitability on the back end, and that's where the big money is. So we had a promise to these shareholders. Right now, up until this merger, Leanne and I owned 70% of Experior, and the 30% was owned by our agents, just like yourself, Leo. And we thought, how are we going to cash out people's chips one day? People would ask me, and I'd always say things like, well, we're gonna know what we need to know when we need to know it. And that was a good answer for a while, but eventually I'd put my head down on the pillow at night going, how are we gonna? Like, I believe that we're gonna be able to either go public or some partial acquisition of sorts, that the company takes a piece out of us. But that worried me because I didn't like the idea of private equity, because then they start to run the show and you become a puppet in their game. So when we met with Monty Holm, and he strategized and shared with us that over the next 3 years, when we put these pieces of the puzzle together, we're going to take this company from right now, where between Experior and all the other AOG partners, we're valued right around 250 million, that over the next 3 years, we're going to get our EBITDA to the point where this company will be worth 3 billion and we're going to take it public. That's the goal that we have right now over the next 3 years. Now, for me, I'll still be in my 40s. I'm turning 46 in December. I'm so excited to spend my 50s, which is the next decade I'll be entering into, helping this public company become one of the most recognized public entities on the planet. That's my vision over the next decade after this 3-year run to take it public. Then it's like, how are we going to ramp this thing up? I want to show agents that believed in us from the beginning, that became shareholders, and people that came along the side and partnered with AOG. Maybe there's some people that run agencies. Maybe they have product solutions that they can bring on the table. And we want to partner with these companies, bring them under the fold, RIA firms, broker dealers, IMOs, and show them clear path that we're going to do this thing public, and we're going to show a bunch of agents and a bunch of agency owners how to become stone cold wealthy. You can make a lot of money and a lot of commissions and that will generate you an incredible lifestyle. But the wealth that you can create as a shareholder owning stock in a company is what can create an ultimate legacy. And that fires me up to show people that believed in us when we were young. I'm talking back 11 years ago until now. I still feel like we're young, but I just can't wait to see people, realize the dream that, and some already are starting to from a compensation standpoint, a business standpoint, but I'm talking even from a share standpoint. That fires me up, bro. I mean,
Ooh,
I'm jacked.
you got me fired up. I need to go back to work. I'm so happy I got my shares. Oh man, let me tell you, there's a lot of people that are excited about this because you have spoken so clearly about it. And so many people are still trying to spin the story. That's why I'm glad that you're here, and people that don't know anything about this are able to hear it.
Leo, what you got to do is you just got to say a little prayer for those people that are trying to spin the story, because some of them are so confused and they're just believing some of the BS they're told. This was a win-win-win all around for all parties. It's exciting. My wife and I had the opportunity. We could have cashed out. We got 9-figure valuation on our company, and we could have cashed out our chips anytime along the way. And even to the point before we did this, there's been insurance carriers. There's been other private equity companies. I mean, we've been in conversation with some pretty big cats, and every time it turned into no strategy, all about them having equity. And I'm like, well, why would I want to give up equity when we're on a growth curve? And you cash out and live a dream and all that. And it's like, I'm living a dream now. I get to do what I love every day. I don't need more money to live a dream. What I need is to impact people's lives. That's my dream. So anyway, bottom line is my wife and I got $0 and 0 cents on the merger. There was no sellout, contrary to some of my old cronies with the other companies.
So let me ask you about the not only the growth, but what is the day-to-day for agents? How is there any changes? I know that you've given this answer, but I want other people to hear it too. Has there been any changes in Experior and the way it's being ran and contracts or anything that has changed?
No, none whatsoever. As a matter of fact, we built protections in. One of our biggest concerns was that we wanted to make sure that we protected our comp model, we protected our carrier relationship, we protected our technology, like all the things that make us so special. That we protected that they can't mess with our legacy ownership program and all the other things. And of course, we got all that stuff pieced out of it. So as a matter of fact, I'm now one of the board members on AOG, as well as Leanne and Jerry Ball, who are all Experior. And then there's 3 other board members. One of them was CFO. He was the former CFO for Stephen Wynn, who runs Wynn Casinos. Then we have our legal counsel is on the board, and then Monty Holm is on the board. So there's 6 of us right now. Oh, sorry, my phone's jacking. So there's 6 of us right now on the board, but on the Experior board, everything stayed the same. We did not add an additional board member to Experior, and the board members of Experior are the ones that make the decisions. And guess what? My wife and I are still on that board, and my wife has now stepped into the CEO and president role of Experior, running that ship. I'm obviously very much involved and will be involved for the rest of my life, but yeah, nothing changed. What I will say that did change is the shares, because now instead of when you earn shares like you did recently, Leo, instead of owning shares in just Experior, you're actually owning shares in all these other 12 companies and soon to be hundreds of companies under the AOG umbrella, because you're getting stock in AOG, which has equity in all the different companies, including Experior.
All right. One of our viewers said that he's glad you're not listening to the radio because he figured that you'll be listening to Move. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Pull up, close back.
They want to make sure you're not listening to
So I missed that part.
One of our viewers, Ezra, is making sure you're not listening to the radio, to the song by Ludacris. Move. Get out the way. Because you're driving now. We don't want to get you too excited. Oh, God. All right. Let's see. Anybody else, whoever got questions, you may ask them. Don't be afraid to put them on. I'm going to be asking the ones I have, and I'll be looking to see what you guys have. Here's another one that I would like to ask. The culture in Experior is very different. Our DNA is completely different from what I've seen. Now, with merging with AOG and taking this company onto a global stage, are you afraid that that's going to affect the culture that we have? You being 46 and all, you have a youthful culture to you. I mean, I ran you down the stage. I know.
Yeah, Leo, I think you can answer that question. You know enough. I mean, you saw me on stage in Miami. It was funny. I was having some fun. But I'll tell you what, the only thing that changed is I'm going to be careful about name dropping companies that drive me mentally crazy and make me sick. I won't say their name anymore. I'll just let other people say their name. But that's the only thing that's really changed is I'm just going to try not to name drop companies that make me sick because that's not good as the CEO of this large company. But I decided a long time ago that I'm going to be myself, and even if that means that I have to maybe not make friends with everybody, maybe not everyone likes my personality, I realize something that if I act fake and I be someone that I'm not, I can have people that don't like me anyways. So it's like I might as well be myself and have people not like me, right? Because either way, people aren't going to like you no matter how you are. So you might as well just be yourself, right? Unless you're a jerk, then you should probably try and get better. But I'd like to think I'm a pretty nice guy. People get along with me, and not everyone's going to love me all the time, but I just like your show is called Unapologetic, right? I'm unapologetically myself, and as long as you're not insulting to people and you care about people, you lift people up. But yeah, as far as our culture, no, I think our culture is even more on fire and excited than ever before.
All right. I love it. Love it. All right. I got one from Takira Sullivan. Is saying if the financial services industry as we know it disappeared tomorrow, no carriers, no licenses, no hierarchies, and you had to rebuild Experior plus AOG from scratch with only your people, culture, and vision, what would you not rebuild? In other words, what would you change, if anything?
So I missed the first part. There was no carriers, no what?
Basically, let's say you started over. You started
Yep.
over. Is there anything in Experior you would change? Like if you had to start all over? Because I remember a question last episode. You said if you had to think about doing this, if you had to, you wouldn't. But now you're here, and now we scaled, and we're here to stay, and we're being a disruptor. So I guess she's asking: is there anything that you would change if you had to start over?
That is a very good question, by the way. Um, I could probably think of 100 things that I would do differently along the way, but not so much related to the business itself, but more the way I was when we started the company. And I'll explain what I mean by that. There was a year back in 2020, yeah, right when the pandemic hit, and I was always on edge. Like I was very frustrated, and I don't know what it was. Like maybe it was because I was stuck at home. I wasn't around people. I don't know, but I was very frustrated. And I remember lashing out on a couple of leaders in front of other leaders. And ultimately, three people that were a part of Experior, and they were all making about 200,000 a year each. They were doing fairly well. They all left the company. Okay, they all left around the same time, like within 90 days of each other. They all quit. One quit. One quit. Um, and I look back and I'm like, I wonder if now honestly, when they did quit, I'll be very candid. My stress level was actually like I lifted a weight off my shoulder because they were three people that were constantly a little bit of almost like a little thorn in my side. Like every time they called me, it'd be like, oh God, what do they need now? And oh geez, what are they going to complain about now? And oh, what did I do wrong now? And like, oh, what did head office? It was like constant like that, right? So I still didn't want them to leave the company because I knew that they were good people. Like I didn't think they were bad people or anything like that. But when they all left, and it was after I went through this stage of where I was like very antagonistic and very like, basically the stuff I said to them in a group, it was all true. But it's like one of those things that you don't call people out in front of others, and I did that. And I always wondered, did I push them over the edge to make them quit? And I don't I kind of regret it because I wonder if I could have helped them become better leaders had I have been a better leader at that time. So the fact that they left, my stress level went down a lot. So it actually made me happier about the company, to be honest with you, because I was like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with these people anymore. But at the same time, I wondered, did I do enough to help them? And was I, and I certainly, I'll tell you this, I was not a good enough leader at the time for those three people. I think if they had joined today in 2025, I've grown as a leader, right? I think if we're not growing, we're dying. I've grown as a leader over the last 5 years. And I honestly feel that if those three individuals were at Experior today, 2 out of the 3 of them would still be with us long term. One of them, I think we would have ended up terminating eventually, anyways, because they were like unmanageable. But 2 out of the 3, for sure, I think I would have had the leadership capacity to keep them. So if I could have changed one thing, I think I would have worked on myself more in the beginning, because in the beginning I got so focused on the business and the numbers and getting everything right in the structure and all that. And I think we did a good job. Not perfect, but we did a good job. Where I didn't do a great job at all was in the self-improvement area. Only over the last 5 years have I really taken my self-improvement to another level. Reading books, studying entrepreneurs, studying information, how to get better and grow in my leadership capacity. And that would be something I would definitely change. I would have started that a whole lot earlier if I could go back in time.
That's a great question and great answer. Thank you. we
And
we
by
have
the way, I'm
learned.
not trying to be like facetious, like, oh, there's nothing like in the business, everything's perfect. There's probably 100 things, as I said. I just can't, nothing like stands out to me. There is one relationship with a carrier that we developed a few years ago in Canada, and they promised us that it didn't matter that one of our big competitors used them as a product provider, and it don't matter, you can still recruit their people and we'll leave you alone. And I found out 9 months later that they were full of crap and they ended up canceling our contract without cause. If I could go back in time, I would have told them to shove it from the beginning, and we wouldn't have accepted their contract because that caused us some headaches and about 100,000 in development time. But other than that, I was just kind of like, trusted someone's words and what they said, and we shouldn't have. But you know, that was a big mistake, a little mistake, but frustrating.
We learn from them, We got Mr. Mark Torrillia that got a good question for you. So I'm gonna drop it in layers here. Experior is producing $1 million earners with consistency like Master P had dropping albums in the No Limit era. Okay. He wants you to think about that. As a business owner who has undoubtedly led by example, what crucial shifts have you noticed are required for someone earning $100,000 to climb to $1 million milestone?
Sorry, you said what? And there was a word you said there.
He said, what, as a business owner who has undoubtedly led by example, what crucial shifts have you noticed are required from someone to
Crucial chips.
shifts, like
Oh,
shift?
shift. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
To go,
Um,
are required for someone to go from $100,000 to climb to $1 million milestone.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I had a talk with one of our leaders several years ago, and they were probably making about 400,000 or 500,000 a year at the time. And they said, Jamie, like, I'm comfortable, man. I don't know what to do. And I said, you got to think about something beyond yourself. Sometimes people I got another guy, and he'll know who he is when he's watching this video. He's stuck at 400,000 an income, a guy from out west. And he knows why he's stuck. He's stuck because he's comfortable, right? And I told him, I said, you got to get the fire back that you once had. And this guy from a few years ago, I said, you got to get the fire back. He's like, yeah, but like, you're just different. Like, how do you get so excited? And I said, because it's not about me anymore, right? It can't be about you. I think to get from like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 to $1 million, it can't be about you anymore. It's got to be about other people. Because if it's just about you making a couple 100,000 a year is great. You're going to live a comfortable lifestyle and you can chill out and all that stuff. But if you want to make a difference in other people's lives, like that to me is the only way to go from 100 to $1 million and to 2 million and to 10 million is it's all about other people. What can I do to help other people? Zig Ziglar, we all know what he said, but if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. And I believe in that philosophy wholeheartedly. So, and I'm not trying to give you the textbook motivational rah-rah answer. Oh, damn, y'all ain't going to let me out. What the hell? Come on now. No, screw you. I'm not going. No, we're good. All right, sorry.
We are live.
All right, that lady wanted to hit me. So I would, and I'm not trying to give you a textbook, cliche answer. I really think that most people, they, I don't know if they believe enough. Like, I think they believe in the company, right? Whatever company it may be. If you're loyal to the company you're with and you really love them, and in our case, Experior and AOG and what we're doing, I think most people believe in the company. They believe in the products, right? They believe in their leadership, right? They believe that other people can do it. I just don't know if they believe that they have what it takes. And until you internalize and believe without a shadow of a doubt, like you wake up in the morning and you know without a shadow of a doubt that you are $1 million earner, you are $1 million woman, or you are $1 million man. Like you are valuable, provide value to people, and you are worthy of massive, crazy riches because you're going to do good with that money. You're going to impact people's lives. And when you start to believe that about yourself, like it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm on track, I'm going to do it. But how many people actually believe it? Like really believe it? And that's where I'm thankful that I was like so gullible. I've always been very gullible. I'll give you an example. When I was wrestling in high school, and towards the end of high school, I started training with the University of Guelph. I didn't go to university, but I trained with them. And I remember I was wrestling the guy who was the silver medalist in the Olympics. Okay, he was the silver medalist from Canada. Ias Sasori, and the guy's he's an incredible man. Ias Sasori, he's from Montreal, Canada. And I remember I had a wrestling match with him. And I'm like just out of high school, okay? And I'm lucky if I'm like top 10 in Canada, maybe top 7 in Canada. And this guy was number 2 in the world, okay? Like went to the Olympic Games. Like it'd be like a miracle if I could score a point on this guy. Honest to God, I walked into that match and I was convinced. Not because my coach told me, because my coach didn't tell me this. I was convinced that I was going to go into that match against this guy that was in his mid-20s at the time, and I was like 19 years old or 18 years old, just out of high school. I was convinced I was going to beat Sasori. I was absolutely convinced of it. That was completely delusional for me to believe that. But I'll tell you what, I had a good match. I didn't score a single point on him. I probably had one of the better matches of my career, but I didn't even score a single point on him, but I wrestled really well. But what's my point? I believed it. As gullible as I am to believe it, I believed it. And when I got into this business, I had that same childlike faith that I'm good enough. I can do this. I can be the CEO of a publicly traded company. How crazy is that to think that? A guy with no barely made it through high school, no college education. How crazy is it to believe that? But you know what? That's the belief that I had in myself. And it wasn't because I had a mommy and a daddy that always told me I could do anything. Although my mommy did tell me. My mom was very supportive, and my dad was along the way very encouraging with my wrestling. But it wasn't that. It was a lot of the self-improvement that I did early on. I learned even through high school and everything that studying successful people was important if you want to be successful, and that helped me believe in myself more. So I don't know if I'm rambling or if that made any sense.
No, listen, you're inspiring people. They're coming on and being inspired. I get it. I feel. I'm telling you, make me want to run through a brick wall right now. It's just inspiring that belief. So I appreciate your answer. I hope that got you, Mark, because he got it for you right there. I got another one from Miss Olora Sweets. I wanted to ask, what approach would you have for the government workers who just received RIFs within the last 3 hours? How would you mirror yourself into your company as agents come in? Like right now, there's a lot of, I guess you would say, layoffs.
I'm gonna pull you up to my. I'm gonna pull you up to my ear. That one, Leo.
No worry. Yeah, they asked, what would
I'm gonna
be
pull
your
you up my ear.
approach for
I couldn't hear
government
that one.
workers? Can you hear me now?
For government, okay,
Can you hear me
my
now?
approach for government workers. Yeah, I
Who
can hear you now.
just received their RIFs within the last 3 hours. How would you mirror yourself into your company as agents come in?
Okay, they just received what in the last 3 hours?
Rifts. They basically are. We're going through furlough. There's a lot of government workers that are losing their jobs or not getting paid. They're working to not get paid, and I'm guessing that Alora's asking, what would be your approach to them, being that they lost their job? I figure it's just a recruiting opportunity.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry, I was very confused by that. Sorry.
Okay. Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, we lost him, but he'll be back. I swear, I feel he'll be back. I hope you guys are enjoying having your questions answered. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. And he is back already. Let's add him to the stream. He is back. See, he comes right back.
So I think it would just be, you know, asking them if they've ever considered having their own business before so that they could control their own destiny and that someone else couldn't put their thumb on them and tell them what they can and can't do when they could take a pee break and a lunch break and everything else. Have you ever considered that? Right. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, people getting laid off from these government jobs, they're probably very frustrated. Most of them were expecting to be able to work there until they retired and then sail off into the sunset. So, just asking them, would you be open to an opportunity if you didn't have to go back to a job, right? Because most people in our system, I shouldn't say most people, but some people, right? Maybe someone listening to this, they're living this life of quiet desperation. They're not reaching out for help. They're just living silently, like just in misery, like almost like they're just they're in this vicious cycle. It's like they're just working to pay the bills so that they can eat food to get the energy to go back to work, to pay the bills so that they can eat some food to get the energy to go back to work, to pay the bills so that they can eat some food to get the energy to go back to work. And on this cycle over and over and over. And then they're working Monday to Friday. They enjoy the weekend, but by Sunday night, they feel sick in the stomach, right? And they think maybe it's their spouse's cooking. And they realize, no, it's not. It's that pit in their stomach because they realize that on Monday morning, they got to go back and do the same damn thing again and again and again and again. And I think a lot of people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they need to look at entrepreneurship. And I believe that, entrepreneurs, just so you know, 74% of all the wealthiest people in the world are entrepreneurs. Here's another interesting stat. Over 80% of all millionaires today did not come from.
Mm.
I'm going to repeat that. And again, my stats could be a couple months, a couple years outdated, but you can chat GPT it to verify this. And of financially independent people are entrepreneurs. And of the entrepreneurs, 80% of the wealthy people, I should say, did not come from money. So if you want the biggest chance to become a millionaire, well, number one, don't come from money and be an entrepreneur. So,
I love it. Love it. We got a question from Mr.
by the way,
August.
the life. You want to hear something interesting? I learned something about the life cycle of the wealthy, and it works like this: one generation will create the wealth, the next generation will maintain the wealth, and the last generation will blow it. so
I don't
now I
like that
hope to
stuff.
create enough wealth. I know I don't like it either, but that's what normally happens, right? That's what normally happens. Mom and dad build up a business, their kids take it over and they just flatline it, and then the grandkids take it over and they screw it all up. But
Oh man, we got Mr. August Jacques that has a question. He said, "You mentioned this merger is like Brookshire and Hathaway. If you had a crystal ball, what company would you acquire to add to the AOG portfolio?"
almost all of them.
All companies.
I Yeah, like almost all of them. I'm not biased. I mean, you know, I no, I can't say that on your show. You can override I'll say it differently. You can always override a jerk, right? as long as they're not a crook. I don't want to override a crook, but I'll override a jerk. Um, what I would say, some companies that I would have my eyeball on right now, like really like from an AOG perspective, I would say companies that um, you know anywhere from 5 agents to 500 agents. Like that's kind of a like I know that sounds like a big range, but 5 agents to 500 agents. Here's why: because I know what it's like. They don't have systems in place. They don't have technology in place. They can afford a couple enough staff to really get it ramped up, and their hands are tied, and now they're competing against companies like an Experior that broke out of that. Took us a long time, but guys, we broke out of that. And I would say that by partnering with AOG, a company of that size, 5 to 500. Now, don't get me wrong, we have 12,000, almost 13,000 agents, and we partner with AOG. So I'm not saying there aren't other companies that have 10,000 plus that will do it. I just feel like our niche, where we're really going to have a lot of power, is in the 5 to 500. And I say that because I think that we're going to show them how to advance 5 years into the future almost overnight with our technologies and everything that we got to help support them. That's what I believe. As AOG, as you know, Leo, we own a technology company, 51% of a company called Copper.com. Copper.com, we actually own the domain as well, which is worth millions in itself. But Copper.com, we own 51%. The other 49% is partly owned by Google and some others. And it's actually the only CRM that's actually recommended by Google. And I kind of guess that's probably because they own a piece of it too. But we own 51% of that. We also own another company that runs the payroll for 122,000 or 128,000 something licensed agents already across North America, right? So we own that. I mean, there's so many cool pieces to this that are coming together. We've got a fairly large RIA firm that's looking at coming on board with us very shortly. We just had some discussions today about that as well with them. So I think that for people that they feel like they're missing some of the pieces of the puzzle in those smaller to mid-sized shops, I feel like we're going to help pull all those pieces together for them, and it will become an absolute dream come true for them as they partner with us. That's what I think.
Okay, that's great. That means they can
And
scale a lot faster. That's basically what you can say.
and, and I'll say one other part on that is if there's any company out there that promises their agents equity in the company, okay? Now, we know that Experior actually gives equity, not just certificates like some of these jokers, but we give real equity. If there's a company out there that actually provides real equity in their company, not these fake fools that are out there, but real equity, other companies that should really consider this, because here's what's going to happen with companies that give out equity in their company. They're never going to experience an equity event unless they sell their company, and then they relinquish control to private equity, and then it does kill the culture. Okay, this is not a private equity deal at Experian. So here's what we're allowing agents to do: is unlock trapped equity so that you can honor the shareholders that you've given stock to in your company. Because when we go public, your shareholders will become shareholders in AOG in the transition, much like the Experior shareholders did. Now all of a sudden you have a way to open up that equity. They have a way to trade that stock on a stock exchange down the road.
Ooh, okay. I'm getting excited. Yes. We got a gentleman here by the name of Michael that says Experior promotes true ownership for its associates. How do you see ownership culture changing the way people build careers in the financial services?
Oh, that's a good one. By the way, can you hear me okay when the phone's over here?
Yes, yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, so here's one thing I know to be a fact, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. Okay, 9 years ago, Experior decided to do an equity program. Okay, 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I don't know of a single company other than companies that are already public, right? Like Primerica, for example, they're a public company and they give up stock to their agents, right? Um, but other than a public company, I don't know of a single company that was issuing shares to people in their company. Now, almost every one of them at least claim to be given equity in their company. Some of them actually do. Most of them are just full of crap. But every big company is now like, all these, you get equity, you get equity. And they're, but guys, I believe that we actually started a trend 9 years ago, and we forced the industry to get better for the agents. And to that, I say, you're welcome.
Oh God, I got a compliance question for you here. Oh man. All right. A lot of IMOs and MGAs lose their footing when it comes to compliance and carrier relationships. They get stretched during the rapid growth. What are you putting in place right now, like systems, leadership, tech, to make Experior stay ahead of those risks?
Yeah, good question. We already are. We're already like, I mean, I don't mean to brag, but we are like 5 steps ahead already. Um, some agents don't even like the processes with Experior because it's a little tedious to do business sometimes. But we did that to protect the agents. The needs analysis, the requirements, especially on the Canadian side. The Canadian side in the insurance industry is very regulated, a lot of red tape, and we've prepared ourselves. Just like we're acting as AOG as a public company now, even though we're not public. Experior was acting like a major player in financial services long before we were a major player in financial services, which, by the way, is also the reason why we don't have any errors and omission claims against us. We don't have any of the hate that's out there with some of these companies have been in trouble with the legal issues and with the regulators. We have none of that. We have a very clean slate, even though we're fairly large compared to many. We managed to stay very clean that way because we can take it serious. So as far as changes that we're making, we're not really changing anything because we're running a very tight ship already. We are continuing to add more compliance staff as we grow, but outside of that, we really already got the processes in place to protect ourselves.
Okay. So we're ready for scaling. The scaling is not going to affect. You're basically saying the scaling is not going to affect anything that we're doing as of right now because we're ahead of the curve.
No, exactly. And all we have to do is just add more staff, right? Add more feet on the ground. We are using technology and AI now as well, which is actually helping to streamline even in the compliance. Because a lot of times some of the complaints or issues are like field related with upline, downline relations and stuff like that. That becomes a more tedious task that takes our compliance away from regulator type things that we have to keep an eye on. So we're building out more AI, and there's some automatic stuff for a lot of the same type of questions that come through and stuff through the pipeline. So we're using technology to help scale as well. But really, when it comes to compliance, there has to be boots on the ground. You can't man compliance with just AI. So we're constantly adding great staff to the team as well.
Okay. All right. We got a long one here. I'm going to try to read this one. You might want to hold the phone close. Ready?
All right.
Many legacy financial distribution firms struggle to transform their culture and systems after a merger. What are you doing right now? Not in the 3 or 5 year roadmap, but right now to break down institutional unified incentives and force disruption behavior across all agencies. Wow.
That's a deep question. Well, like I said, like nothing changed for Experior, right? So I'll speak to that. Everything stayed the same. Our culture, our commitment, our ownership, our meetings, our events, like everything stayed the same. Our leadership. The only difference is I stepped into the role of co-CEO of AOG, which means I just have more responsibility because I didn't have enough to do before. But that's really what it came down to. I just now have to help other agencies create. Hey, listen to this one, Leo. I want to help other agencies create a culture like Experior. I now get to go out and help replicate other companies to be successful like Experior. I mean, Experior is like it's like, hey, this is a model of what we can help you create. Something so cool like this, you know? So I don't know, that excites me, but I don't know if that answered the question. I forget the question now.
I think so. It was a long one, so we're both in the same place there.
All right,
We'll watch the playback.
um, I mean, all I can say is this: that some companies they do lose the culture, but when you're thinking of that, you're usually thinking of big corporations where the majority of the people in that corporation are employees. Out all the staff's hearts. 40% of the staff for the company because the other companies. What Experience is more the Berkshire Hathaway, or sorry, what AOG is doing is more the Berkshire Hathaway approach, where we recognize that there are great companies out there with great people in them, and we're not hiring these companies and part companies to go rip the hearts out of them. We're actually looking for you to continue doing the great work that you're doing, except now you've got all these other peers to help you. I heard this years ago. They simply at the top. We're at the top of an organization. It can get lonely, and I will tell you the truth. That's accurate. That's an accurate statement. I feel like I went from being lonely and not like depressed lonely. You know what I'm saying? Like lonely as far as who do I bounce an idea off of? Okay, there's Leanne and I and Jerry Vall and some of our corporate directors. When it's like an internal policy thing that we're working on. Now it's like I've got 12 other companies or 11 other companies now that I get to go, hey, how do you guys handle this? Or what did you do for technology over here? Or what do you think of this? I have this issue in our organization. What do you think of this? It's like all of a sudden I've got other peers that are running successful organizations at different sizes, big and small, that we get to surround ourselves with. And it's like they say that iron sharpens iron. And I just think that we are now, Leanne and I are able to move ourselves light years into the future, or years into the future, simply because we've been able to surround ourselves with such powerful relationships. And that's another value add for people that are looking at not only Experior from an agent perspective and building a hierarchy with all the great leaders we have, but now even from a corporate perspective for other companies out there that are interested in this partnership.
All right. Let's see. Let me check. We got one more here that was very interesting. In 3 years, when we're IPO ready, what do you think the initial price will be when we go public? Just they want you to touch your crystal ball. What do you think? Touch your crystal ball.
My guess is $20 a share. Right now we're about $2.50 a share. So my estimate is about $20 a share. And there'll be some dilution as we issue more shares to other partners and they come on and stuff. But again, you can record this and say, hey, Jamie, it ended up at 15, or hey, Jamie, it ended up at 30. You were wrong. Well, of course I was wrong because there's actually no way to know because we don't know with dilution and how many other partners we bring on and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of metrics at play. But based on some of my calculations, what I've done, I think around $20 a share is realistic.
Well, there you have it, August. I got one here. The industry shifts really fast, right? Now it's going to this whole direct-to-consumer carrier and even bigger broker networks making bold moves. How does Experior plan to defend and expand market shares over the next 5 years in such a competitive environment?
Well, have you ever heard the expression that insurance is sold, it's not bought?
I have.
Like, we know this, Leo. People don't wake up on a Saturday morning and go, oh, hey, honey, forget yard sailing. How about we go buy some life insurance today, honey? This doesn't happen. Most people, they don't buy life insurance. They have it sold to them. So yes, there's going to be the few that go online and they want to get a term for sale quote and they're going to check out the cheapest way to buy a policy. Sure, that might happen the odd time. But I honestly believe with everything in me, until the government makes life insurance mandatory, it will always be sold and it will never be bought. Car insurance is bought because people seek out car insurance because it's the law. If you drive a vehicle, you have to have car insurance. Life insurance is optional as far as I'm concerned. As long as it always remains optional, I believe there will always be the need for an insurance advisor. There is not a technology in the world, I think, that can explain to the lay consumer who knows nothing about insurance the benefits of an index universal life policy versus a term invested different policy versus a whole life with additional contribution. Like there's so many moving parts to life insurance. I don't think a technology piece is going to be the one that educates the consumer on that. I still think there's going to be insurance advisors on the ground helping people. Now, that said, we want to equip our agents with the technology pieces, because that's not to say that we can't use AI and technology for our agents to have better tools to bring to the clients. But I'm a big believer, and you might call me old fashioned. You're like, oh, Jamie, you're old. You're born in the 70s, which is true. I spent 5 days in the 70s. Great time. Me and my mom hung out. I was born December 26, 79. But I'll tell you, I don't think that life insurance will ever, at least in my lifetime, I don't think it'll ever get to the point where people just start buying, start searching out life insurance. I think it's always going to be sold, and there's always going to be agents out there selling it.
Mm, mm, mm. Well,
Hey,
I know you.
I might have some Gen Zs on the call that are going, "Oh no, you're crazy. No, it's going to be all technology." Okay, maybe, but I doubt it.
It's going to be done over Zoom. That's as much as it gets as far as technology goes. It's just not door to door anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in holograms. Maybe they'll be like, you'll turn on something, you press a button on a chair or something, and there's an image of Leo Garcia, and it's not really you. It's you sitting at home, but you look like you're sitting at the kitchen table, talking about we need some life insurance, right? Maybe that happens, but I don't know.
So we're ready. I'm so listen, I want to thank you ahead of time before I go into this closing part. I want to thank you for just coming on here, being transparent, bold, unapologetic, just being your true self, and actually doing this while driving. I'm honored that you could have had any reason to cancel, and you said nope. I'm gonna go on the show. I'm going on. So I appreciate that, by the way, very
Well, I
much.
appreciate your patience with it. I know it's not the perfect setup, but I figured we got a message to share, so we got to do it.
Hey, we got this. Let's end with this. 5 years from now, when you look back at this chapter, since we call this the next chapter, when you look back at this chapter, the AOG partnership and the IPO journey, the global expansion, what do you want Experior to have changed? How would you want Experior to change the industry?
I want, like, one of my goals is that I have a competitor that doesn't like us right now that becomes a partner. And I would love it if they came up to us and said something like, because of the disruption that Experior caused in the industry, you forced our company to get better, and you forced our leadership to grow. And don't get me wrong, we're going to grow and get better as a result of other companies and other leaders as well. I think iron sharpens iron, as I said, but I think that would be a real win for me, that if other leaders from other companies and other people from other companies would recognize that, hey, we came together in this collaboration effort rather than competing with each other. We had similar values, similar visions for what we could build, but until we brought it all together, we couldn't grow as fast as we're able to grow together as what we could together. Um, we couldn't grow as fast separate as we could if we were together. So I think that would be a big win for us and Experior, is if other companies came together with us and recognized that. And leaders came to me and said, Jamie, thank you for doing this. We just paid for our daughter's university with one check. I just paid off my parents' mortgage, because of this share program set up several years ago, or whatever. I just took my family on a dream vacation to Greece, all around Europe, or whatever, because of this share program. that kind of stuff, that like I got goosebumps just talking about it. Like that would really motivate me that we're able to make that kind of impact. By the way,
Okay.
there are companies out there. There are companies out there that if they came to us and begged to be a part of AOG, it'd be one of these deals.
It'll be no. Got it. It'll be
Yeah,
no.
it'd be a hell no.
Okay, we got it. And on a personal level, what do you want your legacy to be as a founder and leader with Xperia?
You mean after I die or in 5 years from
No,
now?
when it's all said and done, 5 years from now, what do you want to people to be saying about
Well,
everything, all the risk you took?
okay, well, 5 years from now, it won't be all said and done because I want to drive that $20 share to $300. So
Woo!
that's like 5 years from now. We're just like I'm just warming up, right? But in 5 years from now, I, I don't know. I don't have a like. I can't give a good answer on that. To be honest with you, because I'm so like long game here. I'm not here for 5 years. I'm here long term.
So, what is
But
your
5 years
long-term
from now,
legacy?
the long term goal, frick, I don't know. It's probably gonna change 100 times over. But I want to create a company that's creating more financially independent families than any other company in history. I think 5 years from now, one thing that would be really cool if like Fidelity Investments or Dynamic Investments or TD Asset Management or some of these big investment firms had our stock in their portfolios, and it became like one of their high-end blue chip stocks. Like to become a blue chip stock would be really cool. Um, that institutional investors would want this type of stock. The Canada Pension Plan would want this type of stock. Like that excites me. That we become like a household name, and people know that when they go to their stockbroker, they're going to go, what, I'd like some of this AOG stock. My friend told me about that he made a 28% return last year, and it's a blue chip stock, and like that. That's cool. Like because that's the kind of thing that now we're not just creating wealth for our agents and for our agency owners and for our other technology partners and our other CRM partners and our other IMO partners and RIA partners and broker dealer partners. Now we're also creating wealth for customers out there. We're showing them how to get great returns on their funds. So it's gonna like my goals are just kind of growing and growing every day. I never thought I'd even be talking like this 6 months ago. And my goals just got bigger and they just keep getting bigger. What we can do. So
Man, oh
I'm
man.
gonna be my hope is that one day I'm gonna be 100 years old and maybe I'll be chairman of the board or something like that. And I'll be talking about our 10-year game plan and how we're going to change lives at 100 years of age. That's my goal. I want to still be kicking then and talking about the future then.
You're going to be around for a long time. You're only 40.
I hope so. 45, but yeah, I hope so.
I was giving you some grace, Jamie. I was giving you some grace. I'm 46. I was giving you some grace. Come on, man.
Appreciate it.
Oh, man. I want to thank you once again, guys. I want to thank everybody for watching. Jamie, one day we'll do this live where we're kneecap to kneecap. I see you shaking your head saying yes, so that means I'm gonna hold you to that since we're recording this. All right. You know what? Why I have you here? You can answer this offline, but the convention's coming up, and I heard a birdie told me that I was gonna be one of the hosts, right? So I would like to make a request, and I'm gonna make it now since I have you. I have your ear. I want to be the one to announce you.
You know what? I don't see why that would be a problem. I'm probably not the guy to talk to make it happen, but I don't see that being a problem at all.
But you're okay with it, so it's already live and it's recorded. So we'll take care. We'll take it from there.
Listen, all I know is my new exit song. It's that ludicrous song, brother. You know which one? I love
know
that.
you exit to it in Miami. I saw it. We loved it. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like to say thank you to Jamie Prickett, CEO, co-CEO of AOG, and founder of Xperia. I want to thank him for his time. And I just want to leave everybody with one simple message, man. Success always comes with a risk, but the right leadership, the right system, and the right vision will make the risk totally worth it. With all that being said, it's been an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to have Mr. Jamie Prickett here today. And next week, we have another good one coming, guys. So bring your questions because next week, We have the Godfather. He requested to be here, so he will be here. We have the Godfather talking about vision, values, and victory with Mr. Mauro Oturi. So, guys, with all that being said, Jamie, thanks again. And everyone, I'll catch you guys on the next one. We are out of here.
Thanks, Leo.
No problem, Jamie.